Welcome back to SheCan, where women role models lead by example by telling their stories of how they got to where they are today. They share their insights and experiences to guide and support others because it's easier to be what you can see. And I'm excited to talk to Frankie Snobel. Frankie, welcome to SheCan.
Hello.
You're an entrepreneur, a cocktail lover, and mixologist. You are a drinks industry disruptor, advisor, speaker, and writer. Your business, Tipplesworth, a cocktails on tap missus, was acquired by Diageo in 2019.
Mhm.
You also launched a the first cocktail case after spotting a gap in the market. You raised more than £1 million in funding from corporate investment, angel investment, and crowdfunding, and you strategically exited your company by selling to one of the world's biggest drinks companies, and are now available for advisory for businesses, mentorship, public speaking, ideation and new product development, cocktail recipe development, mixology, and presentation. Frankie, tell us a bit more about this wild journey. It sounds like such a fun journey to do what you do. Tell us how you got to where you are today.
Sure. I guess I'll go all the way back to when I was in university. I was working as a cocktail bartender to make ends meet, and realized actually I really enjoyed the whole cocktail scene. I liked experimenting. I loved making drinks. And finished my degree, but then ended up doing a lot of traveling and continued bartending. It's a skill that works anywhere in the world, really.
Yeah.
And then the hours were really difficult for me. I found you're up really late, you sleep in the morning, and I wanted to change that. So I started working a bit as a journalist, mainly in the building and engineering sector. So it wasn't really sexy journalism. Interesting though, and I learned a lot. But then cocktails were calling, and I knew that I needed to somehow get back into cocktails, but not how I was before. I also really wanted to get onto the property ladder. And financially, I wasn't doing as well as I wanted to be. My sister and I both care for my mom, so I wanted to be able to help support her as well. And I thought the only way for me to be able to do all of this would be to create a business, make it profitable, and sell it. So I had this idea of making these cocktail kits. And this kind of came from going to dinner parties and hanging out with friends. And everyone was always really fascinated with cocktails, but they didn't have the confidence to make it themselves. And I just thought it's really strange because they would make these beautiful meals and spend a lot of time and money preparing this, and they were comfortable doing that. But ask them to make a drink, and they didn't know what to do. So I started Tipplesworth. I joined this part-time business school. I developed the idea. This is all while still working as a journalist. I actually was still working as a freelance journalist for at least the first year of the business, which was so tough. It's basically like working two full-time
Mm.
jobs. Um, but I saw this gap in the market for these kits. I pitched it to Harvey Nichols, and they
Mm.
were actually my first stockist, which is insane. And then once it does well somewhere, it just kind of snowballs. So
Snowballs.
then it was into Selfridges and Fortnum's, and then we did bespoke ranges for Liberty and Conran Shop, and then we had a big order from John Lewis, and then we did some smaller kits with Waitrose for Christmas, and so it was great. However, it was very much gifting. And for
Mm.
me, I wanted something that was really hugely scalable because I had this exit in my head. I wanted to exit to a big drinks company like a Diageo. So I was thinking, what is it that I can create that could be really hugely scalable? And we looked at bottling our cocktails, and then we actually looked at doing cocktail mixers because I thought, actually, if I want to exit to Diageo, then perhaps I could create something that could partner with their spirit brands. So I thought, well, if we're creating an espresso martini mixer, then we could work with some of the brands they have already under their portfolio.
Yeah.
So we did this and we launched into Ocado and Waitrose and Selfridges, and then we got some listings with some big pub groups, and so it started to grow. But then I think I've got really good gut instinct. I was just kind of seeing how the market was evolving, and one of the things that I saw was that a couple of brands were trying to do draft cocktails, but the liquids were horrendous, and half the time they didn't even have the taps on because the
Mm.
liquids were just awful, or the machinery was awful as well for it. So it was like flat cocktails, warm cocktails. So I thought, well, I'm already working, and I had secured some investment through Diageo at this stage. So I thought, couldn't we work together and create something like magical in the draft world? Because if they can make Guinness pour like Guinness, imagine how they can make my espresso martini pour. So we had this project basically where I had a very limited amount of time to do some new product development to get this ready to pitch to one of their biggest customers. And we did it because for me, I was just thinking like, this is my exit opportunity. This is going to be huge. So I again worked this small miracle to make it happen, and it worked, and it poured like a dream, and the customer wanted it to put across their pub portfolio. And then, but the problem was that we were a very small team. It was
Mm.
myself and two other girls, and we were just overstretched and exhausted because we were also still doing these mixers with grocery and trying to scale that as well. And so it was a lot to handle. And then I was made an offer from Diageo for them to take it and to scale it and do what they wanted to do with the draft cocktails. And I was happy with that. So it was the right time. It was actually also COVID happened soon after, which would have been
Really
devastating
different.
for a
Yeah.
small business. So
Mm.
a lot of things, I feel like everything happens for a reason. Um, and so I did a little bit of consulting work and help with the integration with them. But then I had some time to kind of think about what it is that I wanted to do next. And um, I thought, could I teach Pilates? I was considering pet grooming. I had all these ideas of things that I wanted to do, but I knew that I had to work for myself. I think when you have your own business, you become unemployable, perhaps.
Yeah.
And you know the love of like working for yourself and like building something and making it a success. And everything that you do is just so like tangible and visible. And so I knew that it had to be something like that again. And then I had a big health scare. I had breast cancer as well. I'm okay now, thank God. But it was a bit of a shock to the system. And thankfully, I had the time to be able to heal because I had
Mm.
sold the business and go through that. But then when I came out on the other side, I thought, actually, I just want to do something that's like fun and makes me happy. Like, because
Yeah.
life is freaking short. So I decided that I was going to start another cocktail business. And it was going to be one that was just a whole lot of fun, that just really celebrates the cocktail occasion, one that's really crazy and colorful, one that's like not pretentious, just like low maintenance, delicious cocktails, fun packs. I just wanted to play and just create something that made me happy and could make other people happy as well. So I ended up partnering with a friend of mine who is quite big in the production industry. He
Mm.
makes a lot of ready to drink cocktails. So I have him involved as an investor and as a an expert in production. So we produce with him still, which is really helpful because it adds that supply chain security because the production side of things is, well, as you heard earlier, is one of the most painful things.
Yeah.
We decided to start up this business, and it's called the Drinks Bureau, and I can show you. This is our like cocktail on tap.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind
Spicy
of like
margarita. I love
it's
it. Party
so
box. How
I
cool is
know
that?
it is a party in a box. So like literally you just like crack it open and pour. And then we also have like cute little cans as well that are all fun and colorful, but the liquids inside are delicious, and we've won lots of awards for them. And our spicy marg in particular, we won this top award, and we were up against products that were 3 times the price of ours, and managed to win the top accolade for a ready to drink cocktail. So yeah, so it's we've done some amazing things, and now we're in pubs, we're in train stations with WH Smith. We're working a lot with Green King and their customers, so we're in a bunch of like cricket arenas and race courses, and the event space I think is going to be really big for us this summer. So our cans in particular, I think are going to be everywhere this summer, which is really exciting. And then we have some other exciting plans that I can't talk about. But there's something happening with a grocer, and I'm in talks with another grocer. So we'll see. I mean, it's like up and down. A conversation doesn't necessarily mean that something's going to happen, but
Mm.
it's an exciting time, and we're actually looking to potentially do a fundraise as well. So this will be our first proper fundraise to just really help with the growth, because it's highly competitive. It's like a totally different market than when I was doing it the first time around. And it has like its pros and cons, because the first time around we were like so new, no one wasn't really doing that. Whereas now there are a lot of people doing it, but it means that the market has evolved so much that there is space, I think, for the right products. So
Yeah.
we're trying to kind of tailor things a little bit so we're ready to move at full speed. So yeah.
Frankie, is so inspiring to listen to you because you make it sound so nonchalant. Oh, and then we did this and then we did that. And yes, we worked hard, but it's amazing. I'm wondering, Frankie, you have obviously built a company from scratch that you sold very successfully. You've already fundraised very successfully. You're building up another business, and you have the drinks bureau, and then you have your cocktail cases. What would you say are the top tips you have for other entrepreneurs that are on this journey? And entrepreneurs, as you said, is an incredible thing to be, but it's also so hard. And it's
Mhm.
also a lonely place
Yes.
because we are all often left with, getting advice. Some of it is not warranted, actually, and some of it is wonderful, but it's actually quite hard to get proper mentoring and advice from people who have been there. What
Mhm.
would you tell the entrepreneurs that are on this journey? And it's a journey of struggle every day. As you say, you have to pull a rabbit out of the hat, and
Yeah.
magic has to happen, and timing has to be right, and so many things have to come together for things to actually work out.
I think the first and foremost, you have to have the thickest of skins. Like the rejection is painful.
Mm.
And even with my first business, I had pitched to grocers and was turned down, and it took like multiple courtships to get in there. And it's even with my round two, it's still painful. I'm still getting rejections with existing relationships that I have with my first business, but it's just the way it is. So I think you have to just stay strong, and believe in yourself and your product, but also at the same time listen to what advice you're being given. You don't necessarily have to change things, but at
Mm.
least listen to it, because I did make some pivots with my first business, and even with this one, I'm making some tweaks to help kind of frame the product slightly differently for different opportunities. So I think it's important to just really understand like who you're targeting to, and frame it in a way that makes them want to talk more to you about it. But I think also don't underestimate your gut instinct. I think that has really helped me along the way. Of like, there's things that I've done where I kind of think, oh, actually, maybe this isn't right. And then 9 times out of 10, it wasn't right. Or there's things where I think I'm just going to throw it all in, like with the draft cocktails. I put literally all my cards on the table. It was like years of building up this other business for me to say, actually, do you know what? This is it. And it paid off. But you have to be careful. You can't just willy-nilly risk everything. But I
Yeah.
do think you are going to have to take risks that can be quite scary. And And there are going to be times where you hit rock bottom. And there were so many times with the first one and even this one. But at least this time around, I think I'm less hard on myself. I think
Mm,
I know that it's going to be a roller coaster ride, so I can just, have a little cry or have a couple cocktails, and then I'll be fine. And I know that actually it's a low day today, but in a couple months, we're going to have an incredible summer. So you have to deal with it and just move forward. And the other thing as well is you just need to start your business. If you've got an idea, there's never a perfect time to launch it. And like, there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be distractions. But at the end of the day, you just have to go for it, really.
yeah. Frankie, it sounds to me as if you are really strategic, though. You obviously seem to follow your gut and
Mhm.
your instinct, but you're also very strategic. You knew you wanted to exit fast, so you were lining things up, following your gut, but very strategically. What sort of takeaways or learnings do you think could you share? Those insights that you thought, actually, this is what made me succeed.
Um, Again, it's kind of I'm doing it a bit with my well, I am doing it with my existing business, but I did with my first business where I I had a very clear end goal. So it's hard to just keep running forward if you don't know where you're running
Mm,
to. And so I knew kind of right from the get-go that this wasn't going to be something that I did and then like handed down to my nieces. It was something that I wanted
yeah.
to do, build, and sell. And with that in mind, it made me pick the right partners to work with. And there were opportunities that I turned down because it wouldn't lead me to my end goal. It
Mm.
might have been great for my ego or great for a little bit of upfront cash, but it wasn't going to lead me to where I wanted to go. So it's kind of finding that balance. Um, and I'm doing that with this one as well. I know where I want to be and I know kind of how I'm going to get there. And I mean, things change every day, but it's just like knowing where you're going is super important.
And Frankie, what are the lessons from the first business that you're now applying to the second business? I don't know, but did you think it's actually good to have a small team? So this is, everybody figures out a little bit also by process of elimination, the things that haven't really worked. And then you translate that into the second business. What are those learnings that you could share with us?
Um, the team is a big one, so making sure you have the right people to support you. I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So I want to make sure that the things that I'm not good at are the people that I hire. Um, I outsource as well. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have full-time employees that are work for you and you only. It's finding services that might be able to support if you don't have the budget or you don't have that requirement for a full-time staff member. Um, and but I do like having a small team because you want everyone to really like champion your brand and your
Mm,
product, and you're able to really work together when it's a smaller team. But also when you're a small business, you only have the budget for a smaller team.
definitely.
But we're growing. And I think the other thing as well, which has been super helpful for me, with my first business in particular, I had some incredible mentors, and two in particular. And with this business as well, I've reached out to them on multiple occasions, again, just to throw some ideas at them to get really honest feedback because they
Mm,
will tell it like it is. And it's people that are paying it forward, like they're not actually even asking for equity or money.
mm,
It's just people who actually want to help because they can. And if it's, 5 minutes and a little bit of time and expertise, and I send them a few cocktails, like that's everyone's happy. And so I try to do that as well with me paying it forward. I mean, although I am running a startup again, I have lots of experience. So I have been offering advice to some other startups and joining some other groups as well, where I can give someone a 20-minute session for free just to help them, because sometimes you just need someone to encourage you or someone to be really honest. And I'm quite brutally honest. I'll say things that sometimes people don't want to hear, but I had that with my first business, and thank goodness I did because I could have totally gone down the wrong path. So I think having some mentors or advisors, some paid, some not paid, is really, really important.
Yeah. And I always feel that this negative feedback that we don't want to hear is the most valuable one. Looking back, those are the moments when really it was defining, and actually they help you more than the people who tell you that you're doing it all right,
Yeah.
because there's always room for improvement.
Mhm.
Um, Frankie, you've raised quite a bit of money already in the past, and you might be on that journey again. Can you give us your main learnings from raising money as a woman founder, as a female founder?
Oh God, in the beginning, so with my first business, it was actually quite tough. I felt like I had people who believed in the idea. They, I think, believed in me as an entrepreneur, but I think I was a bit naive. And so in the beginning, I had a couple of people who wanted to get involved, who knew investors, and there was just like meeting after meeting trying to get these investors to part with money. And like this wasn't a huge amount of money for them. It was a little bit of money.
Mm,
And I felt like I was almost being paraded around like a show pony.
mm,
Like, oh, Frankie, tell them about your cocktail business. And it really, by the end of it, I needed to take matters into my own hands because when you're a solo founder, as I was the first time around, um, you have no time. You're doing a million things, and I was still working to be able to pay for
hey,
food and rent on the side. So for me to go all the way to, somewhere in central London to go meet with a group of people and give them, 2 hours of my time and make them cocktails, like that is quite a bit of investment for me to do. So it needs to be for the right people. And I felt like it was just going nowhere. So I decided I was going to do a fundraise on Crowdcube. I did crowdfunding. And that was the most brilliant thing I could have done. I think we raised 150K in like 4 days.
wow.
It was crazy. And and some of the investors, the lead ones from Tipplesworth, um, we're obviously on great terms because they got a payout,
Yeah,
and which I think is like a unicorn these days with startups.
definitely.
But I met some people through this who were just really good people and didn't question things. It was like they know investing in a startup is a risk.
Yeah.
Um, and and it just that I really liked being able to take control of that. And once I had that money, I was able to really kind of push forward and grow. And then that's why it was easier for me to get the corporate investment,
Mm,
which ultimately led to the exit. But I think because I had gone through all this other stuff beforehand, it really prepared me for probably the hardest investment pitch, which was the corporate investment pitch.
yeah.
Um, so I think you have to just look at what opportunities you have. So I mean, you might know some angels, or you might actually think, do you know what, crowdfunding is great. It's going to build the brand. It will be potentially easier to raise lots of little investments into one big raise rather than just a couple of big angels. I think it just depends really on the person. And then the corporate for me was important because of my exit. So some people may not want to exit their businesses. So maybe building the brand through crowdfunding or going through angels is a better avenue for that.
Yeah. Frankie, it sounds like a really fun business. I mean, I'm sure that you love cocktails, you love
Yeah,
drinking your own cocktails. This
sometimes. Only on weekends.
Yeah. It must be a really fun way of interacting with people because you're basically giving them something really nice
Mhm.
that people really enjoy. What matters to you now, second time around? You also had an illness in the middle. How do you approach things now? Do you feel you're a bit more leaning backwards and think it's important to also look after myself and my well-being? What really matters to you now, and how does that translate in running your second business or third business, because you effectively also had the case?
Well, yeah, the I think I'm trying to be more balanced. I say that, but then I'll work a couple of 14-hour days in a week and don't blink an eye. But I think it's I have moments where I step back and I now have a husband and a house and a cat, and my mom is nearby, and I'm able to see her and care for her. And so I feel like there are a lot of things in my personal life that are in a much better place than it was
Yeah.
previously.
Mm.
And so because of that, I think the the burden on my shoulders is a lot less. And because now I have a partner, like a husband, it's nice to be able to, if I've had a stressful day, he'll show up with a cup of tea or a martini or just like a hug, and it's that type of thing where I didn't have that before. So everything felt a lot heavier, I guess. But then I also sometimes think, okay, wait a second. You've got someone incredible downstairs, or you've booked a holiday this weekend. You can't cancel. And like, for example, this weekend, I have friends I haven't seen in ages coming over, and there was a mini disaster that I needed to help out on the weekend. And I thought, no, actually, I'm going to see my friends. We will find a way to fix the disaster, but it's not going to be me this weekend because,
Mm.
again, it's like I life is short, and the things that matter are your friends and your family and your loved ones, basically. And
Yeah.
yes, you need to love what you do as well, but you have to try to get at least a bit of balance every once in a while.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been trying to do. I don't do it well all the time, but I'm definitely much better this time around.
Frankie, so I'm wondering what you're most proud of. Is there one drink in particular that you're most proud of, or what would it what would be the thing that you're sort of thinking, oh, I did really good with that?
I love my spicy marg. It's delicious. And it's
Is
just,
that the best seller?
do you know what? Our passion fruit martini is up there as well. It's a good one, and we've won some good awards for that one too. Um, it's hard to say, but I think I spicy marg is just it's my favorite, and I also just like the formats, the fact that the spicy marg on tap is just you'll see like most of the press shots I have is like me holding the spicy marg. I feel like it follows me wherever I go. Anytime I go to a dinner party, I've got my box of spicy marg to take with
Yeah.
me.
Okay, show us a bit better. We want to see it well. Spicy Mark, the party box.
So
Look,
little
look at
tap, you
that.
just pour it
Yeah,
out. It's like wine in a
amazing.
box, but a lot
Yeah,
more fun.
yeah, yeah,
So that's probably my proudest product achievement.
yeah. Frankie, so if you could give one piece of advice as an entrepreneur to our Prime Minister Keir Starmer for business to make business easier, what would that be?
Well, I think the SEIS and EIS for finding investment, that is very important, and that needs to stick around
Mm,
because it de-risks a lot of startups, and it will open up investment opportunities that may not have been there before. So that's really important. Um, the entrepreneur's relief, that being, am I correct in that it's been wiped out?
I think
I
so.
think
Yeah.
that is quite a big blow. I was actually quite annoyed by that,
Mm,
just because there's just so much risk involved when you have your own business. Like it's your money, it's your blood, sweat, and tears, it's everything, all for that glimmer of hope that if you one day are lucky enough to sell it, you'll reap some reward out of it and won't be spending you won't be paying off tons of tax on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I think that that bothered me, and I heard kind of in the industry chatter, some people saying, oh, you shouldn't be starting a business if you're just looking to make money. It should have purpose. But actually, I think it should have both. Um,
Absolutely.
and I think that especially, I mean, a lot of people who start businesses, including myself, like came from nothing. Like I
Yeah.
had nothing and I put everything on the line for it. And I would have been on the streets if it wasn't successful. So I think you deserve to get as much for it as you can.
Yeah.
Um, so that annoyed me. And then also there's just all these taxes coming in and fees with packaging and not enough clarity. So if you're producing something that has plastic or glass, you have to actually, there's going to be fees if you're turning
Mm,
over a certain amount.
mm.
And it's hard enough as it is without all these additional fees coming into play. And it's not even the fees haven't even been clarified yet. So
Yeah.
even though it doesn't come into effect, we need to plan for it now because we're pricing for our customers who aren't just going to freely switch our prices. So that's quite stressful. So I think we need to have enough notice period
Yeah.
to be able to make changes if we need to, whether it
Mm,
be pricing or even our packaging.
yeah. Frankie, what would you say are your main challenges now with this business?
Um,
Is it the lack of clarity?
I think it's the main challenge is it's highly competitive, like my industry. It's to get a spot on the shelf in the grocers, for example, it's incredibly difficult and a lot harder than it was when the first time around. But then I'm finding all these other interesting angles that are working for me in building the brand, which will hopefully then open up other
Yeah.
opportunities as well. So that's definitely a challenge. But I am finding it less challenging this time around. But I think it's because I did all the hard grafting the first time
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
So I know now what to do with things and I
Mm,
know like who to call in if I need help. So I think I'm in a much better position this time around. It's still freaking difficult, don't get me wrong. But it feels a bit less
that's
difficult.
yeah. Frankie, and what are your plans and goals? What will success look like for you for the Drinks Bureau?
Well, I think in the first instance, it's actually just getting that brand out there and
Yeah.
making sure that the nation, the cocktail loving nation, knows what a party box is and sees cocktails on um, in a box as how they want to celebrate occasions and
Yeah.
what they're going to bring to dinner parties. Um, but I think it's growing the brand. It's growing the team as well. So we can really tap into, we haven't done a lot of marketing or advertising. And that's something that I feel like we really need to do to
Mm,
grow our social
mm,
media presence, and to just get a bit of a following, especially because our brand is so fun and colorful and playful. And so I need to, part of the goal for raising investment is to really um, grow our following, basically. And then there's export opportunities that are knocking on the door that I've kind of had to push back a bit because we're just so overstretched just trying to make the UK work. But I do see export as a huge opportunity for us. There are some markets out there that I'm in talks with where they don't actually have the cocktail offerings like we can provide. So I feel like it's only a matter of time before someone else is going to jump on that. So that is
definitely.
something I want to be exploring once we have a bigger team and
Yeah.
some more funds. Um, but ultimately I want to grow the brand. I want to exit this as well. I don't want to be um, doing this for the rest of my life. But I do think that I want to have a really good go at it for the next couple of years and just see what heights I can take it to, um, and and then kind of reassess
Yeah.
in a couple of years where I want to be.
Frankie, and what would you like our listeners to take away from your story specifically?
I think just to try to enjoy the ride. Like it's such a journey, and I kind of question if it's addictive because here I am starting another one. But it's just the adrenaline of when things go right, and then just the excitement behind it. It's you just have to believe in yourself and give it a go. And even if it doesn't work out, even if this business totally flops, which it won't, and I would be devastated if it was, but it won't. I think you just have to enjoy it for what it is. I mean, it's like anything in life, nothing is guaranteed. And
Yeah,
kind of going back to my scare as well, it's you just have to try to enjoy the moment and give it everything you've got and know that if you've tried your best and you've put something out there that was like that you believed in and you gave it your all, then that in itself is an achievement because a lot of people aren't brave enough to do that. So you just have to go for it and try to step back every once in a while and just appreciate everything you've done, everything you've accomplished, and also your failures. It's not just your wins because you will grow as an individual through that.
yeah. Frankie, you are amazing. Your passion is palpable. I loved hearing about your very strategic, very big vision, and you took steps and what necessary to get to a success. And you're going to do it again. And I'd be really excited. Actually, I'm starting a SheCan speaker series in person. We are going to use your drinks, and I can't wait for that. So
Oh,
thank you
yay!
so much for your time today, Frankie.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.